As old as the Catholic Church, he consecrated the Sagrada Familia as a basilica. Not since 1883, when it was envisioned by Antoni Gaudí, had it been seen in all its glory. 800 voices filled the air, one of the largest choirs in the world. And close to 7,000 people gathered, celebrating a moment that had taken 128 years to arrive. While the inside is mostly finished, outside there's still much to be done. You can see the spires and construction cranes for miles. Watch as this picture moves in from above. Those tiny figures below are people, dwarfed by the massive facade rising from the main entrance of the church. Antoni Gaudí was profoundly devout, and this was his way to make amends to God for the sins of the modern world.
I mean, he wanted to write the history of the whole of the Catholic faith in one building. I mean, how crazy and how extraordinary and how ambitious and how, in a sense, megalomaniac that idea is.
Gijs van Hensbergen immersed himself in Antoni Gaudí's life for 10 years and wrote what's considered the definitive biography. He took us to see the Nativity facade, the only part built while Gaudí was alive.
It's the Bible written in stone.
So every single little thing that you look at there, every detail, symbolizes something real.
Yeah, and that was the idea, that we together would spend days here, me teaching you if I was the priest, what the story was and what the symbolism was, and once you get inside, is a wonderful kind of spiritual boost.
The ceiling is a striking display of Gaudí's engineering genius. He wanted the interior of his church to have the feel of a forest, because that's where he believed man could feel closest to God.
Better get your green light.
When you look upwards, you can see Gaudí's columns branching out like trees.
Trees are actually buildings, he said. It knows where to throw out a branch. And if you look at the Sagrada Familia today, that's exactly what happens with those bizarre, eccentric. They look bizarre and eccentric, but the engineering beneath it is absolutely exceptional.
Van Hensbergen pointed out that as you move towards the altar, the columns are made from stronger and stronger stone. Gaudí chose red porphyry from Iran for the ones that bear the heaviest load, because it's among the strongest in the world. If you had to define sort of the one thing that distinguished Gaudí as an architect, what would it be?
The capacity to see space in a totally different way, to make space explode, to see a building as a sculpture rather than just as a place to live in or a roof anyway. It's something really intellectual architecture which no other architect has ever managed to do.
How many years ahead of his time was he?
Today he was a century ahead. He was a century ahead.
Gaudí knew the Sagrada Familia would not be completed in his lifetime, so he spent years building these elaborate plaster models. This one is of the church's ceiling. They would have to act as a guide for future generations of architects to follow his complicated design, and he knew that without them, it would never be finished the way he intended.
I am very old, but
You're very
this
old,
next one? Yes,
but
87.
Gaudí's legacy has been in the hands of this man's family for more than 80 years. Jordi Bonet came here for the first time in 1932, when he was just 7 years old. Do you remember what this was like when you first came here?
Yes.
Was it nothing like this?
Nothing of this, only this facade, the walls and other facade. This was nothing.
For years, the Sagrada Familia was little more than a ruin, a pile of rubble and open sky. And it may have stayed that way were it not for this one family. This is Jordi Bonet's father, who was one of the lead architects here for more than 40 years. Jordi followed him as chief architect for almost 3 decades, and his daughter Mariona is an architect here today. Together, They've spent more time working on this church than Gaudi himself. The devotion to Gaudi runs deep here. Japanese sculptor Etsuro Soto has spent 35 years in this church. And this is where he expects to be for the rest of his life, sculpting the figures that adorn Gaudi's final masterpiece, consumed by the man and his vision.
Gaudi le enseña a mí.
Gaudi teaches me and helps me solve problems in my work. For me, he's not dead.
Why did you convert to Catholicism? You became a Catholic.
Hemos casado en boda en
I was a Buddhist, but after working here, I realized I couldn't do my job without knowing Gaudi. And to know him, you have to be in the place he was, and that was a world of faith.
Gaudi's deep faith is the reason he became known as God's architect. This is one of the few photographs ever taken of him. He architect Antoni Gaudi, known as God's architect, who died almost a century ago. It's been under construction for 130 years, and it's still not finished. Why would it?
Here's the deal. They say he's known as God's architect. And this is Catholicism. So that means that he is known as Jesus' architect. Because Jesus is God, according to the Catholic religion, or the Son of God, who took over for his Father. Pretty much, because that's all it all boils down to. But we have a problem with that. Because see, these are nothing but recreations of obelisk. That's all they are. And you can see these are sun discs up on top of this. So he did not get this knowledge from God. He got this knowledge from the people of ancient Kemet who really got it from God. This guy stole it. I'm going to show you where he got it from. Hold on.
And so you can see here that there were many triads in Kemet, and you see Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, or Jehovah. Well, this is where these concepts are coming from. As you can see, Horus on the...
Haru.
What is that on your left? And Osiris, or Asar, Haru, let's do it right. Haru to your left. Asaru in the center.
Asar.
And Aset to your right.
Asaru,
Aset being
Asar.
Isis.
It all
Asaru
means
being
sir.
Osiris, and Haru being
Sir
Horus.
is what it all means.
This was the first, well not the first, one of the most important triads or trinities in ancient history. And so, Imhotep was so tough that he got to be a part of a trinity. As you can see, Ptah here, Imhotep in the center, and Sekhmet here, he was said to be the son of Ptah and Sekhmet, Imhotep. The legend about the brother grew so much over 3,000 years that he was walking with the gods in the universe. This is how powerful this brother was. And this is a sign and a symbol to our children, that someday, yeah, little Kevin, someday little Tom Mary, someday little Sonny Adder Jr., y'all can walk in the heavens, in the universe with the ancestors and the gods.
And you can see the V on his
Visualize
neck.
it, you can do it. And Imhotep is the proof. We move on.
Sun disc
The
that you
Masons
just saw
know
the
it.
columns at the
The
Basilica.
Masons know it. See, y'all driving down,
This is in LA.
looking to your right, looking to your left, never looking up to see what's on the wall. Can't see the stars now for the street lamps out on the street. I'm not teasing, I ain't mean y'all, I'm talking about, the mother folks outside, they come in at night. Because, y'all, I'm glad y'all didn't go to the club to get down and get funky tonight and come in here to seek knowledge and wisdom with us who are seeking knowledge and wisdom here this evening. But the Masons got right here on Wilshire. This is what we call architectonics. Architectonics is when you design a theme right into the building. And what they designed here on the roof here, the projection of the roof is symbolic of Frank Lloyd Wright, a man who was known for his roof projection.
Right.
This represents modern architecture. Around the side of the building here, we're going to go here and show you a little close-up. On the side of the building here, you can see Imhotep right there on Wilshire. They don't even use his Greek name, got his African name, Imhotep.
Look at the trail in the
Negroes
web.
driving right by and don't even know the brother. See the
Trail in
brother
the
right
crook,
here.
just like a
And
Asar.
dreaded. The
You see
brother,
it?
the Zoser got dreadlocks
flail
like Bob Marley.
in the crook.
Sitting right on Wilshire. You're on your way to work with so much stress
You
on
see?
you. Trying to get there to do the
All
9 to
ancient
5, you
Kemet.
can't even see the brother on the wall.
All of it. Look at
On
this
Wilshire.
SAR hat up there.
But the Masons are saying that this brother represents the first
All
monumental
ancient
structure
Kemet.
known to man.
On the
first-
Mason
first
building in
Mason,
LA.
The first great builder, which they call Merkep. That's what they call the architect's intimidator.
And black people walk past this all day and don't even see it. They don't see that sun disk right there. See it? They don't see the Sar gear right there. That's the Sar hat with the feather plumes with the representation of God knowledge, abiding under divine principles, guided by the sun. Sun wisdom with the locks in his hair that the Europeans call dreadlocks. They're not dreadlocks, they're just locks. And as you can see, he's got the crook as the good shepherd that Jesus has now, and the flail. And this is Imhotep that goes back way before any Hiram Abiff or any damn Solomon.
The Merkhet, the ones who struck the chord on the sacred ground. So the Merkhet Imhotep is right on Wilshire, and then the architectonic expression is saying that it's from the Africans that architecture began. Going down to Hammurabi and the Babylonians, and on down to the Greco-Roman world, and Christopher Wren at the end of the building, where Christopher Wren designed over 52 churches in England after the Great Fire. And we turn the corner today, brothers, sisters. We turn the corner, and there's old George standing there. And old George with the Capitol building, D.C. in the background, showing you that even D.C. has to go back and pay homage to Imhotep. Imhotep and the African origin of Western architecture. So we're going across from George. We can see here on the back of the building as we turn the corner, Albert Pike here. Albert Pike, the Freemason who wrote a very important book on Freemasonry. We ain't going to get into that too much. But I'll suffice it to say that Albert Pike said, the day the Negroes, or to put it in his own words, the day the niggers join the lodge is the day I leave. That's what Albert Pike said. If I can't back that up, I'll eat all these slides, eat this stick, eat the podium. But that's what he said. He said the day the niggers join the lodge or the Masons is the day that he'll leave. That's what he said. And so sitting right behind him is the pyramid right behind him. Let's go back. Let's go back. You got Imhotep here, who designed the first pyramid.
Here's those columns that we just saw in that basilica right there. Okay, these is the columns that he said he made them look like trees. He wanted it to look like the forest. But as you can see, they're representation of stems on plants. They break off some of them into lotus flowers. You can see he stole the V on the neck. You see how they steal everything. See, his white ass got it on now. Okay, and we know where that comes from. I just showed it to you on Imhotep, all right? This is the step pyramid, okay? All right? And there's the columns. And everything that he's got behind him is all from ancient Kemet. And he had the nerve to be a racist, talking about he is the father of masonry and all this sort of shit. Stole everything from us. It's just so sad.
You saw Imhotep. He didn't look like Charleston.
Imhotep just had that on. And we saw
and right behind his head is the pyramid.
Right there.
The pyramid showing that in architectonics that the pyramid builders of Kemet or Egypt gave birth to the Greco-Roman world. As you see the columns below the pyramid.
Right there.
Architectural theme right behind the man that said he's going to leave the lodge when the niggas came in.
With his racist ass. But he's still
We
living
move
off of
on.
our
You can see
knowledge, our
this.
science, our
This
math.
is the Scottish Rite Temple in Washington, D.C. That's the temple that's behind him.
See?
I didn't know that till I went to D.C.
Look at the columns. See, that's the building that they put behind him. Now, they built this in Washington, D.C., but as you can see, it's all over Asia and Africa and here in the Americas, everywhere. So the Europeans can't claim themselves as being the bringers of this knowledge. It's just not going to happen. You murdered the people who brought this knowledge and claimed it for yourselves. And you also stole our God and painted it white and claimed it for yourselves too.
I said, dang, that's the temple behind old Pike's head. So behind old Pike's head is a pyramid on top showing you the ionic columns here where Kemet or Egypt gave birth to the Greco-Roman world. Say, no, brother, you might be stretching this stuff.
No,
Brother Matthew, I don't believe
Here
it.
they go right there.
Let's see. Let's chase this thing. Let's
Phalluses,
see.
penises.
He even got the Sphinx out.